As high school comes to an end, we all have an important decision to make regarding what's next in life. Most people go to college, some go straight to working full time, and others start working for a family business. However, for me, none of those sparked my interest, so I decided to find a fourth option. That was joining the United States military. I knew with this option came a lot of responsibilities and life that I've never seen before. The military, to start off, they make you go through a basic military training that includes the skills and lessons needed to make it through the military. For example, they give you a new lifestyle, they allow you to make new friends, and they show you new experiences that you've never had before. As soon as you get on that plane to head to basic military training, there's 100 thoughts going on through your head of the journey you're about to begin. I remember being on that plane and thinking, too late to turn back, did I make the right choice, should I have just went to college like the rest of my friends, and all those other thoughts that you could imagine are going through a nervous state of mind. As soon as you get to a basic military training and once you step foot on that soil, you know your life is about to change drastically. I remember that your attitude is going to be nothing like it was back home. For example, no longer could you walk or move or talk without asking for permission properly. By this, I mean you had to use a proper reporting statement asking to speak or adjust, and beware, if you mess that up, be ready for the consequences of a military training instructor or an MTI being in your face letting you know everything you did wrong. Also, any negative attitudes, behaviors, or actions could get you removed from training and ultimately kicked out of the military. So therefore, you must be always disciplined and must stay focused at all times for your 8 weeks there. Next, there are many requirements that each basic military training must pass in order to graduate this training. For example, a list is weapon assembling, disassembling and firing, wall locker inspections, which consist of your military training instructor or MTI, as I stated earlier, going through your clothes, make sure there's no hair, no lint, no wrinkles, and everything is folded correctly, or else you could be kicked out for that reason as well. Now me, back home, my parents always did all my laundry, so I knew this was one of the hardest parts for me because I've never folded laundry up until this point, and I was worried that that would be the reason why I wouldn't make it through. Next, there's a written final test that you take on that last week of training where you have to score a 70% or higher in order to continue your military career. There's no retakes, and it covers all the topics, lessons, situations that you learned throughout your basic military training in all 8 weeks. Finally, there are physical training and tests that you must complete, which are comprised of push-ups, sit-ups, a 1.5 mile run, and waist measurements. Each of those had their own minimum that you had to reach in order to achieve this and pass all these tests. Like I said before, failure of any of these tests can result in the removal of training, therefore ultimately getting kicked out of the military. Next, with the new lifestyle comes a new change of environment. So for example, there's no technology at all in basic training. There's no cell phones, there's no TV, there's no video games. So it's straight 8 weeks of nothing, just you and everything else you needed to make it in the military. Next, you don't eat when you want to. There's only designated meal times. I remember my first week of training, I had 5 minutes to grab my food, sit down, eat my food, put my food up, all my dishes up, and meet outside. So in the military, you learn to eat really, really fast. Instead of walking, once you left your barracks, you had to march everywhere. And it always had to be with a buddy. In the military, they refer it as a wingman. Also, and finally, you no longer choose your hairstyle. You always had to have a shaved head your whole time you were there. This was hard for me because I was the kid who always had long hair, it was all the way down to my eyes, shaggy. So I remember getting that first haircut and looking in the mirror, and I was like, I don't even know who I am. I didn't even recognize myself. It's the first time I ever had a shaved head in my life. Knowing that I had a large group of people to go through this with made it easier to adjust to this change in lifestyle. I had the opportunity to meet 50 new friends from all across the world, ranging from different ages. For example, my bunkmate was 17 and he was from Idaho, and then a couple beds down from me was a guy in his late 30s from Guam. There was 50 people in my flight, and they were all consisted of males, and it was with the same 50 people for all 8 weeks with no breaks. You worked, trained, slept, and lived with these people the whole time you were there. So you could see how tensions could rise, and there could be arguments or scuffles at times. But then again, with that being said, there were also times to where you guys joined together and you came like a real team and a brotherhood and had to have each other's backs to get where you needed to go. The best part of this is that I made many friends that I keep in contact with still today. I had a friend come up a couple months ago and he was here for the weekend that I know from basic training, and we talk all the time. So that's a positive. And lastly, it was interesting to go through all these new experiences that the military gave me. For example, the gas chamber, Beast Week, which is just a week long set aside to give you the skills necessary to make it in the desert with a heat index of 130, and you're out there practicing marches and different types of scenarios that would happen in real life situations. Flight marches, as I stated before, you no longer walk anywhere. You are led, it could be 2, 4, 50, your whole flight by your MTI, and you had to march to a cadence that he called. And finally, eating MREs. If you don't know what MREs are, it's like a little bag, and it consists of an entree and a couple side items and a drink, or side items such as cookies, crackers, candy, or anything else you can think of. I'll never forget these experiences with my flight members. Basic military training definitely wasn't an easy task, but it's something I'm thankful I got to do in my life. After many nights of lying in bed, looking up at the ceiling and wondering if I made the right choice, I finally found my answer. No matter how bad times were or how many regrets I had during training, I knew that the military has made me a more mature and better person, and I'm thankful for that. It put me through a training that gave me an opportunity to see a new lifestyle, make new friends, new experiences. Life will always have its challenges, but it's how you deal with those challenges and changes in environment that defines who you are.